WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. It means we're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Got lots to do over the course of the next 2 hours. Got Jordan Kitchens and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Again, hope your work week's off to a good start. We'll talk to Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Ochsner coming up at the bottom of this hour. Well, actually, to close out this hour, we got to talk about LSU's performance in basketball on Saturday, specifically the last 3 minutes of said performance. I've got some baseball predictions we'll make. Jay Johnson met with the media a little bit earlier today, and we are into game week for LSU baseball, which I know makes a lot of people, myself included, very, very happy. Matt Musso and I talked for about 45 minutes about the upcoming team. We'll post that to YouTube probably tomorrow to get ready for the season opener, so we'll do a lot of baseball all week long. I'm fired up to be back in this studio. Last week was a ton of fun. It's a week I'll remember for a very, very long time. Again, we appreciate the folks at Guarantee and, of course, LaBerge Baton Rouge for making last week possible over at Radio Row in New Orleans. We were in the convention center all week long. It felt like a month at times, but it's nice to be back and to be home. I don't even know how Jacob and T-Bob are functioning. They did a week in Mobile and then a week in New Orleans. There's just no routine involved in that. It's just it was a lot of fun, though, a lot of great content, and again, we appreciate our higher ups for making that a possibility. But it's nice to be back in this chair, in this studio, and chatting with you all once again on this Monday. So let's get started the way we get started every single day. That's with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
We got to start with the Super Bowl. I think before we get to the game, as I just mentioned, we were down there all week. I think the city of New Orleans put on a show. I think the entire week surrounding the Super Bowl was phenomenal. I thought the convention center was spectacular. I thought that the city took a lot of steps toward this Super Bowl and cleaning things up and dressing the city up. And everybody that I talked to that had come in from out of town was just blown away. The word that you've heard a ton, Steve Levy talked about it on Friday with us. We also talked to Himbo on Friday from Get Up and Greeny and the folks at ESPN. They were talking about walkability and how awesome it is that they could just kind of get everywhere they needed to go by foot. You got great weather. It was really warm, which could happen. Can be cold this time of year as well. We had 10 inches of snow a month ago. So it's I thought the city put on a show. I thought it looked great. I thought that everything went off without a hitch. You had the president was at this game for the first time. The security presence all over downtown in the CBD and in the French Quarter was obviously noticeable. And everything I thought went great. And you will hear folks complain next year when the game's in Santa Clara, the things out in the middle of nowhere. Same thing can be said when they go to Miami and the stadium's kind of not close to anything or anywhere that you would stay. New Orleans is awesome at putting on events like this. And, yeah, you can make jokes about the lights going out the last time and all that kind of jazz. But the fact of the matter is that this was a phenomenal week in a great city, and we were thrilled to be just a real small part of it over there on Radio Row. I thought the week was a huge success for the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana. Now, you look at the game, and it was a dud, an absolute dud. And I'm not sure I can take a pat on the back to say that was coming. Yes, on Friday I did pick the Eagles. I thought the Eagles had a better team, and I thought they would win. I did not think it would be 34-0. And when you start to peel away at some of the statistics in this game, it really is wild to look at. If you would have told the Chiefs that Saquon Barkley would have 25 carries for 57 yards, they would be thrilled. If you would tell the Chiefs they would hold the Eagles to 3 of 12 on third down, they would be thrilled. If you told them they were going to stop them on their only fourth down, they would be thrilled. If you told them you were going to get a turnover as the Eagles were going down to score in the red zone, they would be thrilled. All of those things happened, and the Chiefs were still not competitive. And it was, in my opinion, based more so than anything else on one thing. The Chiefs' offensive line could not block. They couldn't block. They could not keep Patrick Mahomes functional. He was completely disrupted the entire game. And then I saw this stat from Bill Barnwell on ESPN.com. They did all that without blitzing on a single Patrick Mahomes drop back. They brought Zach Bond on 2 different occasions, but on those 2 occasions, they dropped a defensive lineman into pass coverage. So there was no pressure look on any drop back from Mahomes, and he was under pressure all night. And that's because the Eagles are awesome on the defensive front, and the Chiefs had a weakness, specifically at tackle, and Philly just absolutely eviscerated it. And Mahomes was out of sync and out of rhythm, and it didn't allow him to make some of those easy throws he usually makes. I mean, he threw 2 to Kelsey that like almost hit him in the shin. And then you got Mahomes doing kind of what he does, and he breaks out and contain. He's out there on the right rolling out, and he throws in Cooper DeJean's right there cutting across. He never saw him, got a pick. That's the play that Mahomes always makes to extend drives and to make big plays. And instead, the Eagles were sitting there right there waiting for it. And it's a ton of credit to Vic Fangio, a ton of credit to Nick Sirianni, who's been kind of a scapegoat for this entire thing when it was just kind of a bad month. And that Chiefs roster is awesome. Howie Roseman did a phenomenal job of putting it together. And when you consider what Philadelphia did to the Commanders in the NFC Championship game and then to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, that's the best team in the league. Like, I liked Baltimore for a lot of the year. Josh Allen and Buffalo had a really good go, and the Chiefs, they continued to win close game after close game after close game. It's just what they do. But the Eagles were the best team in the league, and they did it with elite offensive line play, even with Jason Kelsey's retirement, elite defensive line play. Their corners are awesome. How many times did Mahomes drop back? There was a second for him to pat the ball and to throw it, and there's just nowhere to go because they covered him up. And they covered him up long enough for those pass rushers to get home, and Mahomes just didn't have a chance. There are some statistics on Mahomes from this game that are jarring because it's, in a lot of cases, the worst game he's played as an NFL quarterback by some of these advanced metrics. His passer rating was a 10. 10. That's as bad as he's been in his NFL career. His decision-making wasn't good. His accuracy wasn't good. In the first half, he was 6 for 9 for 33 yards out of clean pockets. That's no production in a half of football. None. And it didn't really get any better until garbage time when the issue was decided. I mean, 34-0 at one point. Who cares if you start to hit on some passes? Absolutely clinical. And whenever we've seen on this big stage a quarterback crumble, it's always due to pressure. We saw Tampa do this to Mahomes. We've seen it happen to Tom Brady with those Giants teams. And that was the case here. You just have to build with that elite defensive line to get after these great quarterbacks. Because if these great quarterbacks have some time, you just have no shot. And Philly, without even bringing pressure, was able to get back there. That's like one of the cliches we always hear with NFL, with football games, whenever you're breaking a game down. Like, well, defense really needs to get there with 4. We don't want to send pressure. You need to get, when you just watched it. Like when we say that cliche, that's what that was it manifested on the biggest stage. So I don't think that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes' legacies take a hit for last night. It was just a missed opportunity. You never know when your last time comes. Maybe he'll play in 3 more of these things because they'll continue this thing going. Maybe he doesn't get back. But you still have 3 Super Bowls in your back pocket. You still got a couple more appearances. And yeah, you got smoked in the game last night. No two ways about it. And I think if there was going to be a time where somebody was going to try to overreact and say, well, does that tarnish the Mahomes legacy? No. It lessens his chances of catching Brady, lessens Andy Reid's chances of catching Chuck Noll, catching Belichick. That was the opportunity that they had presented to themselves last night, but it was gone pretty quick. That was the bummer part of it, that we didn't get a better game. But I think as I sit here and reflect on it and think about what it meant last night, it's just a credit to Philly. The organization has just been awesome. And they have done a great job in the draft, great job in free agency, great job in player acquisition. Getting Zach Bond and Saquon Barkley on this team made a huge difference. And hitting on the picks that they've hit on over the years in the draft, with a lot of homegrown talent, including their quarterback, who a lot of people, including myself, would have never taken an early pick on. It's all worked. Howie Roseman has just done a phenomenal job of putting that team together, and that was all on display last night as Philly just annihilated a good Kansas City team. So that's our Genesis opening drive. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. We got plenty to do here on this Monday. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, GCOPnet.com. That's Gulf Coast Office Products. When we come back, LSU played 37 good minutes of basketball on Saturday and 3 of the worst they played all season. We got to talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right
This is the Hunt Palmer Show. Hopefully Hunt remembered to bring his laptop charger. Nah, there's no chance.
That rejoin makes me think of young Jacob Beck, who's not here today, but appreciate Jordan for hitting that button. LSU and Ole Miss back on Saturday. This is a game that you have to break down in two parts. One's more important than the other, but it's two parts nonetheless. LSU, for 37 minutes, played about as well as they can play. For the game, you held Ole Miss to 38% field goal shooting. You held them to 26% from the three-point line. They limited their turnovers. They only turned the ball over 10 times in the entire game. You got Cam Carter his shots. He shot the ball well. He was 4 of 7 from 3. Jordan Sears knocked in a couple of 3 balls as well. You held your own on the glass and ended up winning by 1 rebound. You had 40 rebounds to Ole Miss's 39. A lot of the things that plague you didn't plague you in this game. Like, Ole Miss didn't crush LSU on second chance points. They had 13. LSU had 15 second chance points. Ole Miss didn't crush LSU with points off turnovers. Ole Miss only had 9 points off of LSU's 10 turnovers. Ole Miss didn't dunk the ball in the entire game. LSU played really well for 37 minutes, and that was coming off the heels of getting run off the floor by Texas a week before, getting beat by 19 by Georgia, 2 games in which your defense did not show up. LSU's defense has kept them in a lot of games while they're turning the ball over like crazy and while they're losing on the glass like crazy. Their defense had been what held them together, and it didn't show up against Texas or Georgia, but it did on Saturday. You played really well, and you had an 11-point lead with under 3 minutes to go. And then they absolutely, positively threw up on themselves. There's just no other way to say it. When you play the final 3 minutes of a basketball game and you attempt 1 field goal in 3 minutes, that's unconscionable. And you could just kind of see it slipping away. It started, in my opinion, with a really, really foolish play by Corey Chest to swat the ball out of the Ole Miss player's hand and get a technical foul that led to 4 points that they went to the free throw line and made all 4 free throws. And then you just handled yourself incredibly poorly in the last 3 minutes, just trying to salt the game away. And Ole Miss looked like a team that was comfortable and confident and pushing towards a win, and LSU looked like a team that was desperate not to lose. And Ole Miss, LSU just couldn't get a shot off. They couldn't get a shot off in the last 3 minutes. And Ole Miss kept scoring and scoring and scoring. And finally, they get the tip in at the buzzer to win it. Ole Miss scored the final 13 points of the game. After Cam Carter made a layup with 3 minutes and 15 seconds to go, LSU did not score again. And that's where you got the technical foul that got folks to the free throw line. Brakefield makes a layup. Padula draws a foul. Brakefield hits a 3. You knew that ball was going in the second he let go of it. And then you can't get a shot on your end, and Ole Miss comes down and gets the bucket at the tip in. And it was just a collapse of epic proportions. I could tell you that LSU was terrible from the free throw line, and that's a huge contribution to them losing the game. And yeah, they were bad from the free throw line statistically. You were 12 of 25. That's 48% from the line. That is bad. But you had the wrong guys shooting free throws. Corey Chest was 1 of 6, and Robert Miller was 0 of 4. That's 1 of 10 from Chest and Miller, who were the worst 2 free throw shooters on the team. And they just happened to shoot a lot of them. Sears was 5 of 6. Now, Carter missed one, and Sears and Carter through, I think, 7 SEC games were something like 50 of 51 from the free throw line. So they don't miss very often, and so for them to miss 2 was a little out of character, but they still were 5 of 7 from the line, and Damian Collins went to the line and made 5 of 6. That's the type of free throw shooting we expect from LSU. LSU entered this game the best free throw shooting team in the Southeastern Conference. And then you go up there and go 12 of 25, but that's not because LSU was some sort of wildly unpredictable situation. No, it was just 2 guys that miss a lot of free throws, shot most of LSU's free throws. They shot 10. But every other statistic you could look at, LSU did a good job. I mentioned at the top, like, they didn't turn the ball over. They didn't give up a ton of second chance points. They did shoot the ball pretty well. Like, they played well until they just absolutely vomited in the last 3 minutes. And there's blame of that goes to the coaching staff. There's blame of that goes to the players. And there's some credit that goes to Ole Miss. And it's a blend of all of that. But it was just unthinkable that LSU could gag it away after playing so well for 37 minutes of action. And so now you've got yourself in a situation where your last 3 games are a 31-point blowout at the hands of Texas, who's 4-7 in the league, a 19-point blowout at Georgia, who's 4-7 in the league, and then a choke at home against Ole Miss. And, like, I don't get any pleasure out of telling you that, but, like, that's the reality that this LSU basketball team is in right now. And I did last week on the show say, man, you got to kind of look at the hustle statistics and scratch your head a little bit, because they're getting smoked on the glass. They're settling for a lot of threes. They're turning the ball over a ton. There are a lot of things that are effort stats that are looking really bad at this point. And all those flipped on Saturday at home against a top 25 team. All those flipped. And then you showed you just didn't have what it took to close the game, which was just brutal to sit there and watch. And it takes all 5 guys on the floor to do what they did over that last 3 minutes. Like, all you need is one person to step up, take the ball, take control, and make a play. And LSU couldn't find one guy to step up and do that. I tweeted it out, and I got a lot of run. But, like, the fact that I went to the shooting, like, you would think if you lost a 13-point lead late in the game that you would miss a bunch of shots. And I looked up and was like, LSU made 2 of their last 3 shots. LSU made 3 of its last 4 shots. LSU made 4 of its final 6 shots. They couldn't get a shot. The only shot they got up in the last 3 minutes and 14 seconds was the Cam Carter layup that got blocked at the rim. And so you look at the play-by-play and how they got there, and it's just a bunch of offensive ineptitude that led to that situation. You got that shot blocked at the rim. You get to the line and miss 2 free throws. You get the ball and you charge. Cam Carter gets called for a push-off. These are the possessions that you got. And Carter's the guy who you want to have the basketball. He's your best player. But he gets caught pushing, and the ball goes the other direction. He knows better than that. It's a 5th-year guy. But they couldn't get the ball where they needed it to get. And Ole Miss made every play they had to make. I think the biggest play is not even the tip-in at the end. The biggest play was Jamin Brakefield hitting that 3 with 45 seconds to go to tie it, and that came off of an offensive rebound. And again, LSU was great on the defensive glass the majority of the game. But in the one instance, you've got to make the play. You've got to get a block out and get the basketball. So they've got to come foul you up 3. You can't get a rebound. Ball gets to Brakefield. He splashes it. It's really, really tough when you get into one of these ruts, because these guys still have to get up early and go to workout. Get up early, go to class, study hall, practice, treatment, day after day after day. And when you just don't have a win to lean on, it just gets old. And you're starting to hear answers in the press conferences that reflect that. And I get it. Trust me. That's what I would sound like too. It's really, really frustrating to put all that work in and to get nothing in return for it. And you were on the cusp of a really nice win over a top 25 team on your home floor where you controlled the action really throughout the game. LSU took a lead in the first half and really held a lead the vast majority of the game. I didn't check to look at what the lead time was. LSU led for 30 minutes and 12 seconds of this game. 30 minutes and 12 seconds. Ole Miss led for 4 minutes and 44 seconds, and you lost the game. Like, that is really, really difficult to respond to. And that's the task that Matt McMahon and this team are going to have, because it just doesn't get any easier. Like, the teams that you play this week don't have great records, but you're going on the road. You're going on the road to Oklahoma. You're going on the road to Arkansas. And this is supposed to be the softest portion of LSU's schedule. I mean, I wrote for LouisianaSports.net, like, if they're going to make this season interesting, it's got to start right now. And that was leading up to the Texas game. And you got beat by 31 in that game and 19 in the next game against Georgia. And then you blew a 13-point lead with 3 minutes to go in this game. Like, this is the soft part of the schedule. It's just going to get tougher moving forward. And that is not a very comforting feeling when you consider what LSU's record stands at right now and where things are headed. If you want to have a bigger picture conversation about where the basketball program is right now, you can head over to LouisianaSports.net on the homepage. There's a story right there about it. But that was a gut-wrencher for LSU on Saturday. There's no two ways to describe it. And it's going to be really difficult to recover from that. We'll talk to Glenn West about it tomorrow and kind of see what his thoughts are. He was in the PMAC on Saturday night. But, man, it just feels like this thing's on the brink, and it feels difficult to turn it around. That's the conversation we had last week. Like, it's going to be difficult to turn this around. And they may have made a step toward that on Saturday, and then they ended up giving it all back, which is really, really difficult to watch. All right, our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. We've still got plenty to do here in this first hour of a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. I want to talk a little bit about Kellen Moore and what that may mean for the New Orleans Saints. We got a little bit of confirmation that he's headed to New Orleans. I'll tell you where that came from earlier today. And then Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Ochsner is going to be with us at 1:45. Looking forward to that conversation. We'll have that every 2 Mondays. So looking forward to chatting with Dr. Burnham in 15 minutes. Don't go anywhere. It's a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is that website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. The thing that they do the most is that tub to shower conversion. I got to keep the tub in my house because you got a 3-year-old who takes a bath every single night. If there's no 3-year-old in your house and you're not taking any baths, but you've got one of those big 90s style jacuzzi bathtubs that's taking up a ton of space and you never get in it, maybe your bathtub's just old and dingy and just doesn't look very good and you don't use it. Well, if that's the case, get rid of it. Take it out, put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower, changes the look of your bathroom, changes the functionality of your bathroom, adds a little value to your home. And David Duvall and his team do this kind of work all the time. You can see pictures of that fantastic work at OneBathAndClosets.com. There are also testimonials from their satisfied customers. There's a chance to go right there and schedule that free consultation. It doesn't cost you anything to have a conversation with David Duvall and his team about what they could do for you. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online, OneBathAndClosets.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your...
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
We'll chat with Jeremy Burnham from Auctioner coming up in the next segment. Do that every other Monday. Talk some injuries as well as their brand new facility over there at Auctioner. So excited for that conversation coming up 15 minutes from right now. We do have some information suggesting that Kellen Moore is in fact headed to New Orleans. Asked earlier today if Jeffrey Lurie believed that Kellen Moore was going to leave Philadelphia. Lurie, who's the owner of the Eagles, said, unfortunately, we're going to have to wish him the very best in New Orleans. So that's not an official news source breaking the information, but it is the owner of the team who signs the paychecks, giving confirmation that he's not going to be signing Kellen Moore's paycheck anymore. So we understand that this has been very much in the works for over a week now, and it's just a matter of semantics when it gets finalized. Kellen Moore flew back to Philadelphia with the Eagles after the game, and I'm assuming we'll probably be headed back to New Orleans within the next 48 hours. That's my guess. Got to get the contract all drafted and signed up, but the assumption is that by Wednesday evening, you should probably have official word that Kellen Moore is the new head coach of the New Orleans Saints. I was listening to T-Bob earlier today, and he was just suggesting, look, no matter which way you want to slice it, it's a good thing that the guy who just won a Super Bowl is headed down to New Orleans. And I think that Kellen Moore has done a really good job. We've had a lot of time to dissect Kellen Moore's resume and to talk about whether or not he works or fits. And we've done that a lot over the last week and a half. My thoughts have not really changed. I think this is a pretty good hire with the understanding that nothing's a sure thing and you're hiring a guy who's never done this before. But the only thing we have to go off of is his resume and the production that he has orchestrated. And offensively, you would be hard-pressed to suggest that Kellen Moore hasn't done a good job at his stops. Yes, things kind of got sideways at the end in Dallas. Yes, they had a bad record in San Diego, or Los Angeles, I guess it is. I'll never just stop referring to the Chargers as San Diego. It's just burned in my brain too deeply. But look, they didn't win a lot of games when he was there. But then you go to Philly, and obviously they put together a great offense that won a Super Bowl, and with a little bit of help from their defense, scored 40 points against a really good Chiefs defense last night. But I think that Kellen Moore is a good candidate who's got a really difficult job ahead of him. And I think it's a positive that he was able to go out on that note as the Eagles offensive coordinator. The game got so sideways so quickly because the Kansas City Chiefs could not do anything offensively. They continued to go 3 and out and then turn the ball over, and the score got lopsided, and it was 24-0 at halftime. And it obviously, when you're up 24-0 in a Super Bowl at halftime, it's going to alter what you're trying to do offensively. You're going to be a little bit more conservative. And I thought you saw that from the Eagles. They never really got the running game going. We've talked about this a lot, that Saquon Barkley had just 57 yards on 25 carries. His long of the game was 10. But they got Jalen Hurts going in the ground game a little bit. And that, I thought, was a really nice wrinkle from Kellen Moore. You saw a number of designed runs that Jalen Hurts was asked to run. He carried 11 times for 72 yards, had the rushing touchdown as well on the tush push. But look, his long of the day was 17. It wasn't like he got going like crazy, and he was able to consistently pick up yards when they needed it. They got a lot of different wide receivers involved. Devontae Smith had 4 catches. A.J. Brown had 3 catches. Both of them scored touchdowns. I thought the shot plays that they decided to go for were perfectly timed. I thought that the pass down the right sideline to put them in position for that first touchdown was a gorgeous throw on a 3rd down. I thought the big-time shot play that they hit over the top to Devontae Smith was a great play call, and those worked awesome. Saquon Barkley was actually the leading receiver in terms of catches for the Eagles. He had 6 catches in a game where they couldn't find anything for him on the ground. They found another way to get him the ball, which is through the air. Got the tight end involved a little bit. He had a 20-yard catch. So I thought that Kellen Moore did a really good job against a great Saints defense, great Chiefs defense that has elite players on every level. And the Eagles just picked him apart, I thought. And I say picked him apart. It doesn't look like it from the stat sheet, like you threw for 210 and ran for 135. That's not earth-shattering. 335 yards is not something crazy, especially when you consider that the Eagles did win time of possession significantly. What was the time of possession, Edge? I got to look at that again. I'm pulling it up here. They won time of possession 37 minutes to 23 minutes. And so with that edge, the yardage wasn't eye-popping, but at the same time, the efficiency with which the offense ran, and they accomplished what they needed to accomplish. They scored when they needed to. They held the ball when they needed to. They were able to run the ball. They were able to throw the ball. They had to do it a little bit different way than they usually do, which is just hand it off to Saquon and let him rip off 65-yarders. But I thought that Kellen Moore showed a bit of a change up there, showed a second pitch, and I thought that was very, very good. So I'm not here to tell you that I think Kellen Moore is the savior of the franchise and he's going to turn things around immediately. In fact, I think quite the opposite. I think the Saints are at least one more really bad season away from coming out on the other end. And that's not Kellen Moore's fault. He didn't do any of this. But you look at it and you look at it now, and I think that he did a great job in Philly when given the proper materials, so to say. You've just got to do that now in New Orleans. That's the most important thing. Every time I want to talk about the Saints' new head coach, I feel like what has to be part of that conversation is getting the roster to a certain spot. And Philly figured that out and did a phenomenal job of it in every way, with the drafting, with free agent signings, with the trades. Everything that they did kind of turned to gold. Everything the Saints have done has been a disaster. They've got to get back on that track. And then I think there's proof there. There's proof of concept that Kellen Moore knows what he's doing when he's given a full deck like he had with the Eagles. And I thought last night he did a really nice job. Jordan, I don't know if I've talked to you about the Kellen Moore hire. I don't know if you feel any differently having watched the Eagles the last couple of weeks, knowing that was going to be your new head coach. But your thoughts on what Kellen Moore did in Philly and your thoughts on what he could be in New Orleans.
Well, the only problem I have with Kellen Moore is that he's kind of what's left. So it wasn't like he was our first choice.
Nope.
So that is a little, I can say it's concerning, because at the same time, at least he wants a job. So I think that if he can get Derek Carr out of here, like I've been hearing the rumblings that's what he wants. Maybe that might have been in his contract. Like, I'll sign his contract. Derek Carr has to go. So if he can come in here and do that, I'm standoffish a little bit because, again, he's not who we wanted at all. And it's just what's left. But I have to buy in because he wants the job. So that's all I can say is, like, you have to give him credit because at least he wants to take on a challenge that nobody else wanted to do.
Right.
But you also got to look, we're at the bottom. We're on the clearance rack at this point, and just so happens he's like, hey, I'll do it. So I think he's a good offensive mind. The Cowboys was nice. The Eagles were, a lot of people like to say, well, the Eagles had a super talented team, but the Eagles still, offense was better this year. I felt like
show me a coach who takes a bunch of scrubs and dominates. Like
exactly.
That's the whole part of this discussion is like the Saints, it doesn't matter who they hire, you better get some better players.
Yes.
And then see what that guy can do. And that's why you gotta give him a little bit of runway here.
Yeah, well, you need to keep your players because the Eagles out here running around. Yeah, that's the main part. Keep your players.
Yeah, I was looking up at the NFL honors thing on Thursday, and there's Trey Hendrickson accepting an award, and there's Zach Bond in the Super Bowl making a pick, and like
a bench warmer, by the way. Let's keep that in mind. This guy was on the bench last year, and he's a first-team All-Pro, Super Bowl, almost Defensive Player of the Year, and Super Bowl winner.
Let's talk briefly about two ancillary things with the Super Bowl. One, Jameis Winston.
Amazing.
I have been so critical of him, like, as a leader of a football team. Like, I cannot take you seriously doing the crazy stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
He was on fire all week. He was hilarious with everything he was doing. He was at Lafitte's drinking the purple drink. He was riding pedaling the bike, running into carriages.
Down there by the yachts?
Down by the yachts doing that. He was dancing on Bourbon Street and giving people high fives. That was hilarious. I can't take him seriously at a press conference or in a huddle, but he was perfect on all that stuff this weekend.
And honestly, I think he made himself a lot of money. Not in the NFL today. I mean, well, last week, but when it's all said and done. Oh yeah, James got a nice fat check coming in.
It just worked. It was so goofy and quirky, but it always seemed to work.
It didn't feel fake. That was the main thing. Like, that's really him.
Yeah, and he's goofy and quirky, and doing the eat the W thing, but then he takes that and he does it with the beignets. I thought that worked too.
Yeah,
that was awesome. And then we got to talk about the halftime show.
Okay.
Because I just didn't get it. Like, I want there to be like a show and dancing and like pyrotechnics and all that stuff, and I felt like Kendrick was just kind of walking around singing his songs. Like, I just didn't get it.
Well, off air, we was talking about it. It wasn't the performance, it was boring because I just wanted Lil Wayne. Like, I just felt like if you're going to have a New Orleans thing with all these Louisiana people doing a national anthem and all this, but we can't get a Louisiana guy for the halftime show, that's what you lost me off rip. So I was going to hate on it regardless.
Cassie, I know I don't think that you vibed with it either. What did you think? I know that's probably something you were looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, I especially like as a dancer, I was even watching like the dancers in the background, and I just like wasn't as impressed. I wanted more like production, kind of like you said. It was kind of like underwhelming, and he was just walking around not.
When I think about like
much.
Shakira and Beyonce, and I think about Bruno Mars, like that's some of the Usher last year. Like that's what I'm looking for, and I just felt like they try to do some tricks with the camera with Samuel L. like popping in, and I know that there was a Drake angle to the whole thing that everybody seemed to get to. That's over my head, obviously, but like I just didn't. Nothing popped. I just didn't get that vibe at all. It just didn't work.
When you think of Super Bowl performances, halftime specifically, you do got to go iconic. I ain't gonna say Janet Jackson iconic, but you got to go a little something. You got to push the envelope.
Yeah. He's just not in my. He's a great artist. I don't know that he's a great performer.
No,
and that's
okay.
And that's what I'm looking for. He's got great songs. That's just not the halftime show that I was looking for there. So there's more thoughts on the Super Bowl and on Kellen Moore. Let's step aside. When we come back, we'll have Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Auctioner. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Shout out to the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs. Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com is where you can find them online. Every other Monday, it's our pleasure to talk to Dr. Jeremy Burnham. He's the Medical Director of Sports Medicine and head of orthopedic surgery over at Auctioner. It's our sports health segment presented by Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Dr. Burnham, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Hunt. Good to talk to you.
It's always our pleasure. I did want to ask. I got a question yesterday about injury, and I said, "Well, I actually have a segment coming up, and I can chat about that before we get to y'all's elite facility that opened a couple of weeks ago." Obviously, basketball season's been tough on LSU this year, and one of the reasons for that is that Jalen Reed has been out since early on in the season in the Florida State game. Somebody asked me if he could play next year, and I said, "Well, I don't really know the answer to that," but he went down in early December. He's a big guy. It's obviously a knee injury. Do you have any thoughts on what his recovery time might look like?
So, what I've seen about his injury online, and look, hats off to LSU Sports Medicine. They have really just an exceptional sports medicine team, and they're on the cutting edge of all this. But what I've seen that's publicly available is that it looked like maybe he tore his ACL, and that's always a tough injury when you look at how long it takes people to come back, I think it takes a lot longer than we want, but it's in general sometime between 6 to 12 months. And so depending, what types of injuries and everything that goes into it, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that he could be back at some point next year, and I'm sure he's well on his way to that.
They were really, really excited about him. I know he's a heck of a talent and the guy they were going to count on, and it's hurt them badly that he's missed as much time as he had. On a brighter note, y'all opened that elite training complex over there on Burbank just a few short weeks ago. I'd love to hear some more about it, the grand opening as it was, and what y'all's plan is for that facility.
Yeah, we're really excited about this facility. It's the Ochsner Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, and it's at the elite training facility. And, the best way I can think to describe it whenever people ask me about it, because it is a pretty special place and sometimes tough to explain, is, it's really like having a training room situation, like an NFL training room situation, but accessible to all of our patients. And, there's certainly a lot of elite athletes that are out here on a regular basis between, utilizing our sports medicine facility and also the elite training academy, which is on the same campus. But what we really wanted to do is kind of take that model where, if you're in the NFL or you're in some other professional sport or Division I collegiate sports and you're injured, you kind of have access to all of the experts at one time. So you don't really have to make, okay, I'm going to make an appointment with this person, but what if I need to go see this person? We're trying to break down those silos, right? And so you have athletic trainers, you have physical therapists, you have strength and conditioning coaches, you have orthopedic surgeons, you have non-operative physicians, all under one roof at the elite facility, and really working together to figure out, ideally trying to prevent injury. So we have a lot going on from an injury prevention standpoint. If somebody is injured, we're trying to figure out how can we get them back to whatever activity they want to be back to as quick and as safely as possible. And so that's the spirit behind this facility. It's really a unique place and something that we're real proud of.
I see people hear about this and they're not real sure like if they are qualified. Do you have to be an athlete, or is this just for high school athletes, or is this just for folks over at LSU? I mean, this is for all of your patients, correct?
Yeah, this is for anybody that wants to be active. That can be, a weekend warrior. That can be a professional athlete. That can be, a middle school athlete, a high school athlete, or somebody that, hey, just trying to get more active, doing a couch to 5K program, something like that. And, our vision for it was really to be able to take those resources that are available at the higher levels and bring those to everybody. And we've had some unique capabilities to be able to do that. One of the things we have here is we have a 3D motion analysis lab. And so this biomechanics lab is really something, I actually saw them doing this in Europe. There's a place called Isokinetic, which treats all of the ACL injuries for all the big soccer players in Europe. And, I saw this during my training and I thought, gosh, I love Louisiana, knew I was coming back to Louisiana. I thought, man, if we could ever do something like that in our home community, that would be amazing. And, this motion analysis lab, it allows us not just to, analyze people that have had ACL injuries, but it also allows us to analyze people that may be at risk for an ACL injury, and we could pick out the people that are higher risk, and we could do some interventions, some different types of strength training programs to prevent those injuries. So that's one of our big focuses at this facility as well.
If you want to learn more about sports injury prevention and treatment, you can visit ochsner.org/BRortho. We've got about 2 minutes left, Dr. Burnham, but I did want to talk about that preventative. What kind of things could you do that are considered preventative? What kind of measures can y'all take?
Amazingly, muscle strength and like neuromuscular control of your hip muscles and your core muscles and your quad muscles are just really, really important. And whenever we analyze people, we find that people across all walks of life, they have some asymmetries or they have some weaknesses or some dysfunction. And there's been a lot of sports science that has shown if you can address those areas of dysfunction, that you can significantly cut back on people's injuries. We actually just recently published some research. I'll be presenting it in Washington, D.C. in a few months, and then in Germany at an international sports conference. But we actually did some screening tests, and we found that we could identify people that had a 4 times higher risk of ACL injury compared to their peers. And so now we're going to, the high school athletes that we work with, the different groups of athletes that we work with, and we're trying to do this screening because we like to catch people before they have something like an ACL injury and be able to do some of these strength training, neuromuscular training programs. Sometimes it's as short as a 6-week program. can really make a difference in somebody's life. And so that's what we're trying to do, is really get out there in the community and have a positive impact.
He's Dr. Jeremy Burnham with Ochsner. We'll chat with him every other Monday moving forward. Appreciate the time.
Hey, great talking to you, Hunt. Thank you.
It is, of course, our pleasure. Look, it's one of the things that obviously is an issue for a lot of folks is cramping. And at Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute, we know that sports injuries can be unpredictable. One situation you can protect yourself from is muscle cramping. One of the first things you can do to aid in recovery and avoid muscle cramping is to stretch prior and at the end of every activity that you do. Also, not drinking enough fluids can lead to muscle cramps, so be sure to stay hydrated. If you want to learn more about sports injury prevention and treatment, visit ochsner.org/BRortho. So Dr. Jeremy Burnham there with Ochsner. We appreciate his time. Again, we'll chat about a lot of different things in the world of sports as far as injuries go, some with local flavor, some that may be more nationally relevant. So looking forward to those discussions every other Monday moving forward. If you missed any of the first hour, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can always find us. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. We certainly do appreciate it. Open the show talking about the Super Bowl, and then talk a little LSU basketball against Ole Miss from Saturday back at 1:15, and then a little Kellen Moore talk as well. Find that wherever you find your sound. We'll step aside for SportsCenter. It's baseball season, y'all. I got some bold predictions up at LouisianaSports.net. We'll do that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. You can do the entire process remotely and online. Go to GenesisofBatonRouge.com. You can see every car that is on the lot there on Airline Highway at PQ. Every car is online right there. You can look through. If there's one that you like, you might want to get behind the wheel of it. You don't have to go to the dealership to do that. You can, but you don't have to. They'll come to you. One of their brand ambassadors will drive that car to your place of work. They will drive that car to your home and let you get behind the wheel. And if you decide, hey, this is the one for me, well, beautiful. They can do delivery, e-contracts, and you never have to set foot on the lot of the dealership. I know that drives some people nuts. It's all about convenience, and it's all about luxury over there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. So go to the website, GenesisofBatonRouge.com, and start to look around. Every single new purchase, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're at Airline and PQ across from Women's Hospital. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. After the biggest Super Bowl blowout since the Buccaneers beat the Chiefs 4 years ago, the Eagles are just getting started on their celebration. The championship parade will be held Friday in Philadelphia. ESPN's Damian Woody.
The Philadelphia Eagles were just better all around, especially in the trenches. I mean, think about it. They didn't blitz one time last night. One time. Sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times, had numerous other pressures. They just beat them up. And that's how you got to do a team like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Damian Woody on Unsportsmanlike. Luka Doncic will likely make his Lakers debut tonight at home against the Jazz. 10:30 Eastern for that one on ESPN. Doncic is now listed as probable. He's been out almost 7 weeks with a left calf strain. Tiger Woods says today he won't play in the Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines this week. Woods' mother, Coltita, died last week. The Reds will wear a patch this year honoring career hits leader Pete Rose, who died in September. The Brewers will wear a patch honoring longtime broadcaster Bob Uecker.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Tuesday, we'll continue to react to the Eagles' Super Bowl blowout victory. Plus, we'll discuss Luka's Lakers debut. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, they got you covered at Gulf Coast Office Products. I'm glad to be back in the studio. After that week away, I do not envy Jimmy and Charlie being out on the road every single day. I like the structure and the comfort of the studio and the if y'all have noticed this on Friday, I didn't even realize Beck wasn't there on Friday. Taylor was producing the show. I asked Beck a question. Taylor was like, "Well, it's Taylor." I was like, "What?" You feel like you're on a different planet when you're not attached to this desk. So it was a fun week. I'm thrilled that we did it, but I'm glad to be back in the studio today with a little bit more structural, a little more routine. That's a nice change of pace. And that said, I'll be out of the studio again on Friday because I'll be out at the box for opening day, and we'll have our show set up just outside the box. Not exactly sure what time we're going to be on the air. Last year we did a deal where I was on from noon to 2, and then Matt came on and did 4 hours on AFR. That may be the case this week, or I might switch times with the morning with the Live at Lunch guys. They might go 1 to 3, and I might go 11 to 1. We'll see. LSU plays at 2 o'clock on Friday at the box, so I'll be out there one way or another. Then I'll go right up there and cover the game in the press box as well. So I'm looking very much forward to Friday and getting ready for the baseball season. A couple of notes. One, me and Musso recorded our season preview that we've done the last 3 years now earlier today. That should go live on YouTube tomorrow. I'll be sure to tweet that out when it goes live. But we chopped up the LSU baseball roster for about 40 minutes, I think. That was rough estimate based on what the clock said. So that'll be up on YouTube coming up. If you want to look at the entire roster, you can get that from us there. And also, LouisianaSports.net, we're going to have a ton of LSU baseball coverage. I've got a column up from yesterday that is some 4 predictions for LSU baseball. in 2025. I'm going to go through those, but I'll have a series snapshot every single Friday getting ready for the weekend series. I'll have my Around the Horn column every single Monday ready to roll. That'll kind of go through the entirety of the weekend and give my thoughts on it. So if you're looking for LSU baseball coverage, you got it all at louisianasports.net, and it is for free, not a cent out of your pocket to go to louisianasports.net. So check that out all season long. Let's go into some of the predictions that I had for LSU baseball for the season. One of them that I said LSU will not be swept this year. Last year, you'll recall LSU was swept twice. They were swept by Arkansas and by Tennessee, and that's not uncommon. I was a little shocked that 2 years ago in LSU's national championship year in 2023, LSU was the only one of 14 SEC teams that was not swept. So it happens. This is a tough league. You go on the road. There's tough arms. Like, it's hard to win games, and you can have a weekend get away from you pretty quickly. I think that some of you will remember that year Tennessee, who was coming off of that phenomenal season of the year prior, they got swept by Missouri in the opener of that season. So Florida played LSU in the national championship series and was a fantastic team. They were swept at some point. I want to say either Georgia or Alabama got them. So it happens. Teams get swept, and I don't think that this LSU team will get swept. Usually when it happens, it's on the road. The two toughest road trips LSU has, I think, this year are a trip to Texas and to Texas A&M. Going to College Station to face this team is going to be difficult. But the reason I think that LSU's got a good chance not to be swept is because you've got a lot of balance on the mound and at the plate. You're not top heavy in either spot, and if you're a top heavy team and that, if you've just got Tommy White hitting home runs and Jared Jones hitting home runs, and those two guys have a bad weekend last year, well, all of a sudden you could be in some trouble. LSU doesn't really have that. They've got kind of a balanced lineup that should fight off prolonged swoons. And I just like the makeup of LSU's lineup in that way, and the amount of arms that LSU can turn to out of the in the starting rotation of the bullpen as well. So I've got LSU not being swept all year as my first bold prediction. The second one, I don't know how much boldness I'm going to get for this one. Maybe none, because Stephen Milam hit 8 home runs last year as a freshman. But I said that Milam would hit 10 home runs. I thought about jacking it up to 13, but I kept it there at 10. He hit 8 last year. You'll recall he had the big walk-off home run in the SEC tournament against South Carolina. He also had the big walk-off home run against Wofford. One of those came right-handed. One of those came left-handed. I think the point of making this kind of a quote-unquote bold projection is because he's 5'6". Like, he's just a small guy, but he does have some pop in his bat, and I think that he's going to hit some home runs this year. It wouldn't stun me completely if he finished second on the team in home runs this year with somewhere around 10 to 13 home runs. I think Jared Jones will probably hit 22, 25, but I think Milam's got a chance to be your second most productive power hitter. Now, certainly Danny Dickinson may have something to say about that. Luis Hernandez hit 23 home runs last year. He's got some power. Jake Brown is going to hit for more power this year, I think. We'll see what Derek Curiel does. He hit a home run on Saturday in the scrimmage, but I like Milam to hit with a little more thump this year. So give me Stephen Milam at 10 home runs for my second bold prediction. Anthony Ianson, I feel pretty good about as LSU's second or third starter at this point, and my bold projection was that he would lead LSU in strikeouts this year. Last year at UC San Diego, he struck out, I believe, 85. He struck out 85 last season. Fastball is going to be 93, 95, but the breaking ball is the bat misser, and that's the one he's going to have to lean on. He did so last year, and I think he's going to have a big year this year. I'm hopeful that the resources that LSU has unlocks a little bit more from Ianson. I'm not asking for the Skeens thing. We all know he came from Air Force and he had an uptick in velocity, and he just focused on his pitching, and some of that he credited to the pitch lab, and some of that he credited to Wes Johnson. And it was a pretty meteoric rise from Skeens to go from throwing 95, 96 to 101. But if Ianson can gain a 2 miles per hour on the heater, get up to 96, 97, and then throw that slider, I think he's got a chance to really miss some bats. So I think he's going to be an innings eater for LSU, and I think he's going to lead the team in strikeouts. If you were going to make a hypothetical betting line on this, Cade Anderson would probably be the shortest odds. Give me Ianson to lead the team in strikeouts. I think he's going to have a good year as a member of LSU's starting rotation. And then the last one, I think that Gavin Guidry and Connor Ware are both going to finish with at least 5 saves. I think those are the two guys that are going to be pitching high leverage innings at the back end of the bullpen for this LSU team. I think Ware is going to probably be the first, but I think Guidry is very comfortable in that spot. Yes, they're stretching Gavin Guidry out. Yes, he may get an opportunity to start. It wouldn't shock me if he started a game this weekend. But I do think that he will settle at the back end of the bullpen where he has been. He's throwing a little bit harder. He's got the great breaking ball, and that gives you a left-hander in Ware and a right-hander in Guidry. You can play some matchups, or if you need to extend Connor Ware, on a Friday where you win a game, if he's got to go get 8 outs, he's got to come in the 7th and get 8 outs to close it, kind of like Griffin Herring did at times last year. Well, that may shut him down on Saturday. That may be an opportunity for Guidry to come in if you need to close a close game there. So I think that it's unlikely to me that somebody comes up with 15, 16 saves, Matty Ott style in 2009. But I do think that those two guys will pitch the highest leverage spots like Griffin Herring did last year. And I think those two guys can both finish with at least 5 saves on the season. So my bold predictions for this LSU baseball team, they will not be swept all season long. Stephen Milam will hit 10 home runs. Anthony Ianson will lead LSU in strikeouts, and Gavin Guidry and Connor Ware will both finish with at least 5 saves. Those are the bold projections. I would tell you could go read about that at LouisianaSports.net, but I kind of just told it to you. So there's not going to be a lot more for you to chew on the story on LouisianaSports.net. There are a couple of more statistics in the written piece, but you can check that out for free. Speaking of LouisianaSports.net, there's just a ton going on over there right now. There's a story up on Matt McMahon and his contract, the SEC basketball weekend recap. Ross Jackson's got a column up talking about the Saints rebuild and how much time it'll take. There's social media reaction to the Super Bowl. 3 LSU Tigers listed among the nation's top 100 starting pitchers. Women's basketball team in the AP top 5. Nick Sirianni pleading with Kellen Moore to stay in Philadelphia, saying run it back. I don't think that's going to happen, but all that's there. If you're an LSU fan, Saints fan, Louisiana sports fan, you're looking for your fix where it comes to those teams, you can do it all at LouisianaSports.net. Let's stick with the baseball theme. I'm comfortable with it. I think y'all are comfortable with it. I don't think we need to talk much more basketball. Super Bowl is in the rearview mirror. Let's talk a little bit more baseball when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Got an email today that made me really happy, but it was still a little bit funny to me as well. Got an email saying to look around for flights to Omaha. They haven't started playing yet, and the team at Guarantee wants to get out in front of that. So if LSU gets to Omaha, I'm going to be there because the flight's already booked for the Thursday of the College World Series. That's quality stuff. I like it. Makes me happy. We're a long way from that point. If LSU's going to get to Omaha, they're going to have to play really good baseball. I went out and saw a scrimmage on Saturday, brought the Myers man out there. There was a lot of going down the slide, a lot of playground time. So I didn't lock in on every pitch like I would like to. But I was there, and I did see a little bit. So I'll give you some of the information that I gleaned from it. One was that Chase Shores and William Schmidt both pitched on Saturday. And my estimation on that is that Chase Shores is potentially your third starter, and William Schmidt is looking to compete as maybe a fourth starting option, maybe a bullpen guy. I'm not really sure what his role is, but you're not talking about the ace of the staff in either of those cases. And I'm watching them pitch, and Chase Shores hit 100 miles an hour with his fastball, and William Schmidt is a true freshman who throws 96 with a really good breaking ball. And these are guys down the line on LSU's staff. Both of them, had I been out at a scrimmage 12 years ago, would have been massive outliers as far as talent. They would have been in the Kevin Gausman realm. They would have been in the Anthony Renato realm. They would have been in the Aaron Nola, Alex Lang realm in terms of just raw talent. And then you would have guys kind of down the line that weren't nearly that gifted. I mean, I don't mean to slight these guys at all. They were really good pitchers at LSU. But I mean, do y'all remember Joey Bourgeois at LSU? Like, he was a high leverage reliever for a really good Paul Maneri team in 2013. He threw like 88, 89 miles an hour with a little breaking ball. Like, he was a really good pitcher. He helped a great team that could have won a national championship. But like, he was like your kind of back end bullpen type guy. Like, Matty Ott threw like 91. Like, he was not throwing smoke by any stretch. Like, Paul Bertassini on the 2009 team was a great pitcher, but he just threw a ton of breaking balls and like a 88-mile-an-hour fastball. Now I'm talking about guys throwing 100 that aren't necessarily the ace of the staff. That it's just like par for the course now. You go out there, and that did strike me when I was watching those guys. And both of them had their moments. I thought that William Schmidt's high moment was striking out Jarrett Jones with a good 95-mile-an-hour fastball at the letters. He also hit some bumps in the road. He gave up a home run to Derek Curiel, and he gave up a home run 3 pitches later to Jarrett Jones that went over the bleachers in left field. Jones hit 2 home runs on Saturday, and by all accounts is really locked in right now at the dish and is primed for a monster third season. And then Curiel is I was told, the best freshman hitter LSU's had since Dylan Cruz showed up. So that's high praise. Nobody is suggesting he's going to hit 426 in a couple of years and be the National Player of the Year and the second pick in the draft. That they're not comparing him to Dylan Cruz in that way, but just saying like this guy is really, really gifted as a hitter. So that's kind of the highs and lows there for Schmidt. And Shores, much the same, had his highs and lows. I wrote over at LouisianaSports.net kind of a reaction piece to the scrimmage on Saturday, and I mentioned the line of at bats that came off of Chase Shores that were just really, really impressive. Saw Tanner Reeves had a two-strike single that he hit into the outfield. Cade Arambidi drew a walk. Ethan Fry doubled off the top of the wall in right center field. Ashton Larson singled on a fastball with 2 strikes. Shores was getting ahead, doing a decent job of that. He was having a hard time putting guys away, and they really did a good job. But Shores did figure it out in his second inning of work and did a little bit better. The good news with Shores is that he's still throwing really hard. He's throwing in the high 90s. He was bumping up of 100 miles an hour. And the breaking ball, when he throws a good one, is good. Now, his command was a little bit iffy, and the breaking ball is not as consistent maybe as you would like. But that just comes from being on the mound more. Like, he just hasn't pitched a lot. He's thrown 18 college innings, and this is his 3rd year in college. So he just needs more time on the mound. I think I'm hopeful, because like right now, Chase Shores is not a finished product. I'm hopeful that at some point in like April, that something clicks for him and he becomes an elite starting pitcher in the SEC. The ability is there, but he's got to throw the ball where he wants to a little bit more often, and he's got to spin the ball a little bit better when he needs to. But the most important thing with Shores is that he's healthy and the velocity's good, and that's all right along schedule. So that's all very, very good for him. And then Schmidt, he struggled with some command there, and he got hit a little bit. But the natural tools are so great. And I think, as I wrote on LouisianaSports.net after practice on Saturday, like there are a lot of programs around the country that if they had a talent like William Schmidt would feel like they needed to put him in the rotation immediately because he's just the best guy that you got. That's not the case at LSU. They don't have that pressure. They've got other guys they can go to. So if they want to start him on Tuesdays or they want to bring him in some mop-up duty to get his feet wet, like all of those things, they can put him in as low a leverage a spot as they want to right now because they've got other options of guys that they can put out there that can get big outs. And so that's a really nice spot for William Schmidt to be in, and I think he's going to be in really good shape here. And my hope for him. This is ambitious. My hope for him is sort of a Zach Hess freshman trajectory. If y'all recall, with Zach Hess, he was a starter in the midweek games as a freshman. And I remember he started a game, I think it was against Southeastern over in Hammond, and he wasn't even really pitching on the weekends. And then by the end of the season, when they got to Omaha in 2017, he was the guy that was coming in, throwing 97 nasty sliders, just like a bulldog coming out of the bullpen. And maybe William Schmidt progresses to that. That'd be awesome. Maybe he progresses into the rotation. That'd be fantastic as well. But I think that process will be taken in steps for him, which I think is good. One of the concerns that I have with this team right now, and this is not a new one, but it does crop up when I've seen some scrimmages. LSU's catching defense is a little shaky right now. And that doesn't – any of the 3 guys they put back there, I've seen some issues. And some of it is pitchers making some wild pitches, and some of it is guys just not quite doing the job from a blocking perspective. You've got to deaden the ball right in front of you and prevent extra bases, and LSU is having a little bit of a hard time doing that, and that's not surprising, okay? Luis Hernandez did not really catch for 2 years at Indiana State, and Cade Arambidi is now catching at a level that he has never seen before. There are fastballs and sliders that he's never seen before that he's having to catch, and it's taking some time. Same goes for Blaze Priester as well, so that'll definitely be a storyline to watch. I don't think LSU is going to be in a lot of trouble in early games, so it may not bite them in those games. The non-conference schedule, to be frank, is not awesome. Purdue, Fort Wayne's coming in here. Nebraska, Omaha is coming in here. Yeah, you got your trip up to Frisco, but that's not exactly against national powers, not playing the other SEC teams or anything. So they may have some time to work it out, but the LSU needs to catch the ball a little bit better. You had really good defender in Milazzo for the last couple of years. And keep in mind that Milazzo, Travinsky, and Brady Neal started every single game at catcher over the last 2 seasons for LSU, all of them. So you knew that you were going to have to break in some new guys there. And so the question is, like, who and who's going to step forward. And Jay Johnson was very, very clear in pre-fall practice press conferences, like, defense is the most important thing at catcher for this team. So the guy that is caught the best is going to be out there the most. I think they're all going to get a little bit of time. They're all going to get some at-bats, maybe at DH here or there. But the guy that catches the best is going to see the first time. Right now, I think that's Luis Hernandez. But if you told me it was Cade Arambidi, I wouldn't be stunned. If you told me that Blaze Priester earned some time, I wouldn't be completely stunned there either. There are options. I think all three are going to see time. It would surprise me a lot if the same catcher started Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And one thing that I was told having a conversation with somebody inside the program is that you should expect to see like mid-game catcher changes. They're going to do that a little bit early on, get more reps, keep guys fresh. Specifically, Hernandez is a guy that hasn't caught a whole season before. That's the guy that they're going to count on for some offensive production. You don't really want to start that guy at catcher 50 games. Like, that's a big ask for a guy that you hope to get some offensive pop from. So I think you'll see a rotation at catcher, and my hope is that looks a little bit better moving forward than it has throughout a lot of the fall, and then again over the course of some of the preseason practices. Jay Johnson said in the scrimmages that LSU played against Samford and ULL that the catching did look a lot better. I'm hopeful there, but I will say there are those are a concern for me. When Musso and I recorded that baseball preview earlier today, this is a little spoiler on that. One of the things that I asked him was, what's a concern that you have on this team? And for me, it's twofold. One is defense up the middle of the field. That's catcher and then shortstop with Milam or Braswell, whoever it is. I'm not certain that's put to bed, and I'm not certain that LSU is great there. We'll see. Could be. But I have a little bit of a pause there about defense in the middle of the field, and then the lack of a proven ace. There are certainly options, and I think Cade Anderson's a monster talent that might be first or second round pick when this season is over as a draft eligible sophomore. But I would prefer to have Alex Lang coming back. I would prefer to have, like last year, even though Luke Holman didn't do it at LSU, he had taken the ball on Fridays for Alabama. He had taken the ball in a Wake Forest regional, super regional. He had been in that spot and given you some production. LSU doesn't have that guy. I just wish that guy was a little bit more clearly defined. But that's where we are right now. So that's a little bit of a look at LSU baseball. Tigers will be at it on Friday, 2 o'clock. My show will air from Alex Box Stadium at some point prior to the game. So if you're coming out to the box, want to make sure you come by and see us. We'll be right behind home plate, outside the box, right there in the Champions Plaza. So very much looking forward to getting out there for the second year in a row for a little bit of baseball on opening day. Temps look like they're going to probably be in the 60s. Hopefully the rain stays away and we get a great weekend of baseball. I'm very much looking forward to it. I know there are many of you out there that are as well. Got 30 minutes to go. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Come back with us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. How often do you personally go on to Google and leave a review for your insurance broker? Probably not very often. Not something that a lot of folks do, but they do with the Highland Insurance Group. They've got over 100 Google reviews at the Highland Insurance Group. That's because they take care of their clients. They're wonderful to work with. They're incredibly detail-oriented, which is what you need in your insurance broker. And they're happy to put you in a position to where when that incident happens, whether it's a car accident, it's a lawsuit, cyber breach, hurricane, whatever the case may be, you're protected because your insurance policy is well placed and responds properly. Last thing you want to do is have something happen and then start diving into that policy to see if you're covered. No. And that's not going to happen to you if you do business with the Highland Insurance Group. Jonathan Carver and his team are fantastic to work with. I know insurance is not the most fun topic in the world, but it's important. And you got to get it done correctly. And they'll do that for you at the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on mountain.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
There are a lot of ways to do this job, and I kind of only know my way. I only kind of operate one way, and one of the things that I do is I do pay attention to what people are saying, what people are how they feel. I pay attention to that on Twitter. I pay attention to that on message boards. I pay attention to that with my friends in a text message. Like I want to react to what fan bases and the listener base feels. And so this segment may only apply to a small number of people that are a vocal minority, or maybe it's more pervasive than I think. But it's completely two completely different topics and people, but it's rooted in this is the public sentiment, and I'm going to react to that. And one of them is with Derek Carr. There was a lot of chatter down in New Orleans about the fact that Drew Brees was making the rounds in New Orleans, that Brian Brzee and Demario Davis and Cam Jordan were there as the city was hosting the Super Bowl, and they were a part of media, and Cam Jordan was doing a lot of different things, and Blake Groupie came on our show as well. And you saw a lot of Saints representing the city of New Orleans doing the rounds, and Derek Carr was nowhere to be found. And that irked a lot of people, and I didn't even notice it when it was going on. And then I started thinking about that. I was like, okay. And it just dawns on me that, like, his approval rating is so low in that city. And I'm not sure if that's because of his poor play at times, because of his injuries at times, because of some of the back and forth with his teammates, because he's not Drew Brees. Like, I'm not exactly sure what the issue is, but it's real. And so Jordan, I know you're here and like you kind of feel this way. I'm just curious kind of what it was rooted in, because it caught me off guard last week.
Okay, well, I'm going to just say it like this. Regardless of what Derek Carr does, in the fan base's eyes, it's a lose-lose situation. He could have been out there, and then they would have found, oh, he's got a green shirt. Does he like the Eagles? Like, they would have nitpicked anything he does at this point.
Is it because he's not Drew Brees?
Well, it's one you haven't brought any results. You already came on. You started off on the wrong foot. You alienated the Michael Thomas. Like it's a whole bunch. And then Dennis Allen was your right hand man. You got Dennis Allen going to war for you. Fan base hates Dennis Allen, so it's kind of guilty by association. But at the same time, bro, if you win football games, there is no problems.
No, that's for sure. And that is for sure the case. Winning cures everything.
No,
but it just, I think it's probably just a combination of all of this, where people are like, he's hurt, he's getting in the back and forth with teammates. He says he's not going to take a pay cut. The team's not winning games. I guess all that, but I do think that the guy is, generally speaking, a pretty good dude. Yeah. And I think that he is doing everything he can, playing through injury. He played through more than he should have in his first year, and he should have not been playing when he was out there, and it compromised his play a lot. Then he got healthier, and he played better at the end of the season. He had 2 really good games to start this year, and then obviously the offensive line went to hell, and then he did actually get hurt. And I don't know. I don't have the emotional attachment to the Saints that a lot of folks have, so maybe it's just a different perspective. But it was noticeable in that city last week that people are just anti, and I don't think I caught enough wind of that until I was in it.
Well, also, I want to say it like this, too. When with Derek Carr, like I said, winning does cure everything, and that's truly what it boils down to. If we had a playoff berth, I highly doubt the Heat would be even this high on him. But the fact that he's in and out the lineup, like you said now, at this point, his Saints tenure has been riddled with injuries. We're still we're losing the division to Baker Mayfield and not Desmond Ridder last year, Kirk Cousins at first, and Michael Penix. So when you have that and you got this big price tag at first, granted, he's not like Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts money.
It's like an average QB contract for the league.
But people the average casual fan, they don't care about that. They just see $100 million and be like, oh, we're paying them top dollar. No, we need top dollar results. So it's a combination.
It's interesting. So that's one thing that I wanted to address with the fan base. And the next one, this is probably me reacting to something that I shouldn't, but it's just out there, and we've got 2 hours to fill today, and I just felt like I could shoehorn it in here. I understand that people are not happy with the results in men's basketball. That's obvious. You're 1-8 in the league. You have 2 ugly losses this past week, and then you've got a game where you had a 13-point lead late in the game and couldn't hold it. I understand that Matt McMahon talked about wanting to make the NCAA tournament this year, and you look like you're ticketed for 16th or 15th in the SEC this year. And I get that people are upset about that, and there's good reason. This is not an acceptable result to this point for LSU men's basketball. And y'all also know this about me. I've been very clear about this, not trying to hide anything at all. LSU pays me during football season to do pre and post game. You're not going to hear me come on these airwaves and say a coach should be fired. That's not going to happen. That's just the way it is. I can tell you right now that being 1-8 in SEC play, ticketed for 2-16 in a third year is not an acceptable result. And Matt McMahon would say that. He said preseason, we're not here to go to the NIT. We need to make the NCAA tournament and win some games there. And right now you're ticketed for last. That's obvious. I don't have to break that down. What you see on the internet is that, hey, there's a coach in Lake Charles you need to go hire. Not like one person saying that. A lot of people are saying that. You need to turn that off. That is not going to happen. Scott Woodward fired Will Wade, okay? And Will Wade knows the same thing that you, the LSU basketball fan, knows. Where is men's basketball in the pecking order in this fan base? Look at the crowds in the PMAC. I wrote this last week. LSU basketball fans, generally speaking, do not get mad. They tune out. That's just the way it goes. And I don't think, Will Wade knows that. I don't think he's in a hurry to come take a job where he knows that that's the case. And I think any LSU fan that is making the argument that they should go hire Will Wade, which, by the way, they have a basketball coach right now, you know that basketball runs fourth on the totem pole here. LSU's men's basketball team right now is the third highest draw in its own building. Women's basketball and gymnastics both outdraw men's basketball at LSU. So and I know that I can hear y'all talking like, well, if you brought in a coach and actually won, what happened? Well, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to do that. And you're already spending a lot of money on the football team, and you do spend money on the baseball team, and there's only so much. I don't have those conversations. I don't know who's involved there, but I know what the totem pole looks like in Baton Rouge. I've lived here since 2006. And basketball is thought of as a bridge from the bowl game to the first pitch. And I just don't think that that's an easy place to hire to. So right now, it's not a conversation that's worth having. Like, that's not realistic. You're not being realistic if you suggest that that's what's going to happen. I'm going to watch them the rest of the way. Hopefully they turn it on and win some games. In watching them the last couple of weeks, you don't get the sense that that's on the horizon, but that's why they go out there and play the games. You're playing two teams this week that aren't very good. They're on the road. We'll see. But that echo, it's not like one person said, well, they should just go hire Will Wade back. And I know that things like that have happened before. Bobby Petrino went back to Louisville. Saw that. And that's something that is a fantasy to talk about, but it's just not realistic. What needs to happen is LSU needs to have a fan base that gets more invested in men's basketball. And until that happens, this is going to kind of be the product that you've got. Because right now, LSU is at the bottom tier of the SEC in terms of spending. And if you are at the bottom in terms of spending, this is the result that's going to happen. And that's the toughest thing, because it's hard to criticize like someone inside the basketball program when a lot of what needs to happen is people outside the program spending a bunch of money in the program. And then it's hard for me to get on here and like criticize how people spend their money. That's their money. It's hard to analyze, but it just is what it is. So look, that discussion is one that doesn't need to happen. And it's okay to feel critical of the basketball program right now because starting 1-8 is something that should be criticized. This is a campus that is thriving in baseball and thriving in women's basketball and gymnastics, that's thriving in women's golf, that's got a nationally competitive softball program. Like, there are very few athletic programs in that, very teams in that athletic department that aren't near the top of the SEC. And men's basketball right now is one of them. That's beyond debate. It just is what it is. And until a lot of money gets dumped into that, that's kind of going to be what you get. So, again, I'm not going to be fire the coach guy. That's just not going to happen on these airwaves. I will assess the program and determine what things look like. And obviously, if you want to blame Jalen Reed's injury and Tyrell Ward walking away or what, it is what it is. So the only way to fix it is to throw money at it. We'll see if that happens. All right, we got one segment to go. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. And no matter what industry you're in, no matter what vertical market you are in, Trey Beal and his team at Gulf Coast Office Products have clients in that vertical, whether it's healthcare, law, education, like us, a media company here. He knows your needs from printing, scanning, copying need. And maybe you don't, but he does, and he'll make it happen for you. They got a ton of resources over there at Gulf Coast Office Products. They're statewide and can help you out wherever you are in the state of Louisiana. Check them out online. It's GCOPnet.com. That's our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, one more segment to go on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio, video, security solutions, AVSSLA.com is that website. Mitchell Fisher and his team are phenomenal to work with. For us, the customer service has just been second to none. We've had a couple of issues, generally self-inflicted, with the folks over at AVSS, and it's so easy to just pick up the phone, call Mitchell on his cell phone. He'll have somebody over there that afternoon or the very next day. They're always willing to help. They're always efficient, and again, that customer service has been fantastic. They installed our home entertainment system as well as our burglar and security alarm back when we moved just about 1 year ago. and we've called them 4 or 5 times. It's always been a delight to work with them over at Audio Video Security Solutions. Whether it's hanging televisions, doing surround sound, putting in voice-activated features in your living room or your security system, all that can be handled by my friends at Audio Video Security Solutions. You can find them on Instagram at AVSS_BR and find them online, avssbr.com, avssbr.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
All right, winding things down here on a Monday. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Glad to be back in studio this week after a week in NOLA. Be back out on the road on Friday for LSU baseball out at the box. 2 o'clock first pitch. Lots of baseball coverage coming your way here. And, of course, on LouisianaSports.net as well. So, going to be a fun week. Very much looking forward to the close of it with some LSU baseball getting fired up. We talked a little bit baseball today. If you want to catch that where you find your sound, you can do so. Search Hunt Palmer Show, and it'll all be right there for you. As I mentioned, Hunt and Musso did about 40 minutes on the LSU baseball team earlier today. That'll be available on YouTube starting tomorrow. I'll go ahead and tweet it, so just be on the lookout for that as we get closer to first pitch. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it. Alrighty then. Let's start this bad boy off. Make sure my sound's good. Okay, we good. All right, Dallas Mavericks star power forward and center Anthony Davis is expected to miss multiple weeks because of a left abductor strain. This is coming after his historical Luka Doncic trade, who makes his Lakers debut tonight, by the way. Is Dallas GM Nico Harrison in danger? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it, but this is an odd move, and it's just not surprising at all that Anthony Davis just immediately got hurt. I mean, immediately got hurt. That's just what you knew was going to happen. This is still just puzzling on so many levels. It's just so odd, and that's kind of exactly what you thought might happen. If I'm a Mavericks fan, I'm just sad because you had one of the game's best players who had just taken you to the finals, and you traded him for a guy that's always in street clothes and will be in street clothes for the first 2 months of his Mavericks career. So just a weird deal all the way around.
All right. So then, let's get a little bit spicy. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni makes it a plea to future, emphasis on future, Saints head coach Kellen Moore to come back to Philly and run it back. Will he stay? Take it or leave it.
I will leave it. Kellen Moore is going to be the next head coach of the Saints. The deal, and this is, you can paint this as a bad thing if you want, but like, Kellen Moore is not going to have a lot of options, I don't think, to be a head coach. Like, this is one opportunity that he could take. Yes. I don't know that he was seriously considered for any of the other openings this year.
Nope.
So, look, you can take that as a negative. Maybe the Saints just found a diamond in the rough and that nobody saw coming. But this is a chance that this goes to Mickey Loomis's comment, like there's only 32 jobs. Like it'll be highly coveted, and that's going to be the case here with Kellen Moore. I just don't know where else he could go. Yes. That's a comfy situation in Philadelphia. Cliff Kingsbury's kind of taken his comfy situation in Washington for another year. But you get this opportunity if you want to be a head coach, if that's your dream. Like you got to make sure the contract says that you've got a little time to restart things in New Orleans, but you got to take that chance.
All right. Auburn and Alabama will face off Saturday in basketball. It'll be the first number 1 versus number 2 AP matchup in SEC history. Incredibly, college basketball. I'm so used to them being college football teams.
Yep.
College basketball is first since 2008. Does this mean SEC is a basketball conference now? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. Football still drives the bus, but the Big Ten had a pretty good football season this year. The SEC struggled down the stretch, and you look at what the SEC's done in basketball. It is clearly the best basketball league in the country, and Auburn and Alabama are really, really, really good. I looked up the salaries for Bruce Pearl and Nate Oates. I mean, Bruce Pearl is making north of $5 million this year. Nate Oates' salary escalates up over $7 million here in the next couple of years. You're talking about LSU right now that's paying Matt McMahon closer to 2.5. So you're
put your money where your mouth is.
I mean, that's the deal. The Auburn and Alabama have invested heavily in basketball. Auburn built a brand new arena and hired Bruce Pearl. Alabama got lucky with Nate Oates, but once they found out they had something they could work with, they started to really go hard on that roster, and they've done a really good job with that as well. So that's the type of investment it takes to be really, really good, and they are really, really good. I think that game's going to be incredible coming up on Saturday.
All right, Super Bowl commercials. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. Like, I just
didn't. You didn't like them this year?
I didn't feel like it was great. I don't even think I can recite one off memory that was really, really good.
I will give you that. The only one that really was, I was like, oh my goodness, was the Doritos one. Where it was like the alien trying to take the Doritos bag, and he was like,
I just feel like in my child, maybe it's because I was a kid, but like there was always some incredible beer commercial that was just awesome.
They've been missing lately.
I mean, and you always kind of like Anheuser-Busch to do something with the Clydesdales or something.
Yes.
I like when they like recreate like old TV shows and stuff. I didn't really see much of that last night. Like it just, I can't even come up with one that like was super memorable. I did.
Oh, the Seal commercial. I like the Seal commercial with Mountain Dew.
Yeah,
like
the Seal was okay. That was okay. It was an actual
trippy,
Seal.
It was a little trippy. It was a little trippy.
Again, I was also cooking at the time, and I have a 3-year-old running around, so I'm not as locked in maybe as I once was at a given point. But I just didn't feel like it was an awesome go
nothing
for
really
commercials.
jumped out where I was like, oh, I just like the Doritos one because obviously it was like I'm going to say the best one at the time since I remembered it, but nothing really was hard-hitting like how they usually are.
I thought, as I mentioned, that New Orleans did a phenomenal job with the Super Bowl. I thought that with the score of the game, the halftime show, commercials, like it was kind of a dud of a watching experience.
Oh, let me ask you this. How did you feel about the new score bug?
everyone was going nuts about the score bug. Like, it told me what the score was. It told me who had timeouts. I thought it was
controversial. It was very controversial.
I thought it was fine. I understand that it there was an old school kind of feel to it.
It felt like.
But I thought it was
brand
fine.
new. It felt real like what is it called? Minimalism, whatever. It felt minimalistic. Like it felt very minimalistic. It felt well also. When you present something new, people are going to hate it.
Yes, that's first. I mean, look, the proof in that was that we changed the voice lady on this station. Everybody went nuts. Like this,
and I'm so used to hearing her. Yeah, I'm so used to hearing it
now. But like, I just, I thought the score bug was just fine. I did not have a huge issue with it. So it was almost like a unanimous. Display of vitriol over the whole thing. Everyone was just really cranky about the score bug. I just need to know what the score is, what down it is, who's got some timeouts left, and what the clock says. And that it was all accomplished right there. So, yeah, I mean,
it's very controversial for them. I was like, oh my goodness, is this serious?
And it's interesting that they would roll that out for the Super Bowl, to do something different for the Super Bowl. You would think
everybody
that you would stick to the bread and butter there. But what do you think of Tom Brady?
All right, I'll be real. I like Tom Brady. Trying to wrap this up. I like Tom Brady, but I also like the fact that Tom Brady was an all-time quarterback. So when he sees a bad quarterback play, he'll call it out. He'll be like, look, you got to see him right there. And I'm like, Tom, he's not you, man. They don't see the backside safety coming down. Like he'll always do something like that. So
he had some real bumps early in the season, like as you might. Like I've done that job one time, television color, and certainly don't have Tom Brady's credentials, but I did SEC Network with Lynn Rollins on TV, and it does take some getting used to. And I'm in broadcasting; he has not been in broadcasting. But I thought last night he was pretty good. I thought he had a pretty good game. I thought he did a good job of identifying some things that a quarterback would, and understanding how difficult Mahomes' situation was because he had so much pressure on him. I thought he was pretty good last night. I think Greg Olson's significantly better.
Yes, Greg Olson's all time.
But I didn't think Brady took away from the telecast last night. So that's it for a little bit of Take It or Leave It. If you missed any of the show today, catch it all on demand. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. We'll be back with more, same time and same place. You're listening to a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on every new purchase. 10 years, 100,000 miles on every new purchase of Genesis. Phenomenal. 3 years of complimentary maintenance on every purchase. And to one up that, 3 years of valet complimentary maintenance. You don't even have to go to the store on Airline and Pico. You can. It's a phenomenal first-class facility there, and they've got a great team. But they can come to you, take your vehicle back to the dealership, do all your maintenance work right there, bring it right back to you. Complimentary for 3 years. Just part of the perks of being a Genesis driver. If you've never gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis, just give it a shot. You're probably going to be on Airline Highway anyway if you're buying a car. Just stop by and see them right there at PQ. It's across from Women's Hospital. Tell them Hunt sent you over there. Get behind the wheel and see the difference. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.